Hello and welcome to our Retire Early lifestyle. Let's get right into the information you're waiting for today. Did you know that if you move abroad for the top 3 reasons Americans go abroad for, it probably won't work? We're going to talk about that today in this video. Lured by cheap. The first reason is because people are lured in like a fish on a hook about how cheap it is to live abroad. Cheaper lifestyles gets people every time. Of course, we all want our money to go further without giving up our standard of living. And so the first reason makes so much sense. Most people move abroad because they're lured by how cheap it is to live. This is why they go to countries like Malaysia, Ecuador, Colombia, Italy and Portugal, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, yada yada. You've seen it all, the videos bragging and boasting about how cheap these countries are, right? By the way, the Retire Abroad media and blogger gang are now promoting Malaysia, and it's getting tons of foreigners moving there in droves, as they say. Although we're now seeing videos of people leaving Malaysia, so remember, it works both ways. These countries are cheap when you speak the language and get the deals. The deals are what the locals pay. I mean, if you live there, wouldn't you want to pay what the price for a rental apartment really is, or should be? Expats pay considerably more than the local middle and upper classes pay. But it's still cheaper than what they'd pay back home in the large, high cost of living metro areas, which should never be compared, but they are. And so they brag about how cheap everything is, but the prices just keep going up and up. They go on the promises of having a great, cheap life and end up leaving because they didn't like some things about life in their new country. Just goes to show moving somewhere because it's cheap is not a good reason to move abroad. That's why it won't work out.
Now, we've had a lot of people say things, and we've been through a bubble in, for example, Cuenca, Ecuador, and we've had the pleasure of understanding what is a discomfort to some of the people that leave. And part of it is that they get tired of feeling like an quote-unquote ATM machine by the locals. And what we're saying is that the way we behave when we go abroad is the direct cause and foundation of why we get treated that way. And that's why we are so almost dogmatic about pricing when we talk about the information we talk about in our videos about living abroad and even in the States or in England or whatever it is. Because you wouldn't engage in certain behaviors in your own hometown, and therefore they don't make any more sense just because you went abroad.
Actually, they make worse sense because you become a target in these countries because you're the foreigner.
All of a sudden, you know, you're the guy that's paying the thing is, when you go to these places, it's no secret that you're in town. I mean, you're the foreigner, and believe me, we were the first ones, the pioneer in a Ram city of Cuenca, Ecuador, of going outside of the Gringo area. And when I tell you that the locals all knew, I mean, I would engage in random conversations with locals blocks away from my house, and they'd be like, oh yeah, you're the guy that lives over there. Everybody in the neighborhood knows where you live, and they know that you're there. So here's the next thing they're going to know. They're going to know how much you pay for rent. And, you know, that's one of those things that early on, 10 years ago, mainstream bloggers were talking about how, oh yeah, you know, the locals, they'll ask you silly questions like, how much do you pay for rent? And then they ended the blog there, and they didn't go further to explain that there's a really good reason why they asked that. Is because once they know what you pay for rent, then they profile you and put you in a category of the rich foreigner. And from then on, you will be treated in a certain way that people get tired of, and then they leave. And so therefore, this kind of activity does absolutely 100% color the kind of experience you will have when you live abroad. And it's very important to understand that these kinds of hooks, like live luxuriously on $1,000 a month, listen, I can live luxuriously on $1,000 a month. The thing about going to these places that are showcased in these videos is that, for one, if you 100% rely on that information and only that information, what it will do is it puts you in a box where those are the areas you believe you have to go. And nothing could be further from the truth. There are so many other areas. There is no shortage of areas in the world where you can live very well on $1,000 a month, or at least close to that. So, we've done that, and we still can do that in Cuenca, Ecuador. We do that in Italy. We've made videos about living on $1,000 a month in Quito, Ecuador, and we're a family of 4 adults.
We learned a long time ago, when it's time to make a big decision, making a decision solely based on finances and not looking at the other issues is never a good idea. It's just not a complete or sound way of making decisions.
The bottom line is that understanding the foundational crux of the matter is we absolutely need to be aware of what the local price is. This is not about what you can afford. A lot of people fall into the trap. For example, when you watch these videos online, you will see that it's North American people making the video, and they've got the locations right, but then they'll tell you how much to pay for rent. For example, you'll see things like, oh, you can get a whole house for $500 a month. Whoa, wait a minute. Where is the $500 a month coming from? Because when you actually go abroad and know how to do the diligence of getting to the bottom of what the local pricing is, we've noticed something about Americans and Canadians and foreigners, that $500 seems to be that magic number that they're not able to go under, because it seems just fantastically cheap to them, like they're not going to get a nice house. All the houses we've ever lived in were all extremely nice houses, and I'm not saying you have to pay $300. There's even houses under $300 that are very nice apartments. But I mean $300, $400. In some of these places that are considered the cheapest, $500 is too much.
They were lured by better quality of life. Most people don't like something about their life now or the USA. Maybe it's the politics, maybe it's the environment, or maybe it's just the person themselves needing a change. Many people think they can move abroad and they'll be happier because when they watch the videos of all the happy people parading around in other countries, they believe this facade. You don't think vloggers and influencers have troubles? You think they're happy 24/7? You think they don't get robbed, food poisoned, or terribly ill when they live abroad? Oh, you don't think they have troubles like you do. Do you really think they are happier than you because they live in Spain or Italy? Think again. You're getting 15 minutes of their 24-hour day, acted, scripted, edited, and scripted and edited again. So everything is perfect just for you, the viewer. Did you not see? The plane! The plane! It's Fantasy Island all over again. You're basically watching a promotion. Why do you think they are called influencers? They're influencing you to do something that will help them stay afloat financially. These travel influencers are just trying to uphold their channel because it's how they make a living, making perfect videos about perfect countries where nothing bad happens. They feel safe. There is no problems. Everything is beautiful and grand and without a care in the world. Come on down. You're the next contestant to the cheapest, greatest place to live this week. Who needs a reality check? Not me or you, right? Quality of life is not better, it is different, and then it sometimes gets worse. Lured by the health care. The last one is quite ironic because so many Americans move abroad for the health care, and most of them, when they end up needing surgery or something big like that, they go back to the USA to get the procedure done. We're just shaking our heads. The quality of care is not better abroad either. It is just too many people with a camera and a voice bragging and boasting about how much better the healthcare is abroad because that's what people want to hear. You don't want to hear us tell you that healthcare isn't better, right? So there you have it. If one of these three reasons, cheap, quality of life, and the healthcare is why you're going abroad, it most likely will not work out, even if you're going for all three reasons. Why do so many Americans come back home if it was so cheap and they were saving all this money? If quality of life was so much better abroad, why do most Americans complain in forums and videos about the quality of the life they had when they were living abroad when they come back home? Why do Americans come home when they need surgery or when they're sick if the healthcare is so good abroad? It's not just inquiring minds that want to know. It has been said that it is easier to fool someone than to convince them they have been fooled. Of course, you and I are not the ones that have been fooled. It's just all those local foreign country residents that think their ship has come in with all the wealth that foreigners bring in, and it's a free-for-all, a windfall for them until they figure out their sons or daughters can no longer afford to live in their own cities and that their taxi rates are too high and they can't even rent an apartment where they want and that their hospital bills are no longer affordable. And then the sentiment is, gringo, go home. Go ahead, live your dreams, live, explore, adventure. But remember, you'll probably end up going home. Hope this finds you all well, safe, and happy. Take care and be blessed.